Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, my name is Putri Annisa. I will present about applied linguistics chapter 8 entitled Past, Present, and Future Direction. At first, its concerns were almost exclusively with TEFL, the direction of influence. In other words, was seen as one-way and unproblematic. This transmissive approach has been described critically by the applied linguist Henry Widdowson as linguistic applied. Okay, next, subsequent change. First, there is the issue of scope. The second, there is the relationship with linguistics. The third, new attitudes and ideas among professionals. The fourth, tension at all interface of the old three-way relationship between linguists, applied linguists, and language professionals. Okay, next. Second language acquisition, or SLA. In the 1970s, SLA research concerned itself with first, explaining and describing the process of acquiring a second language. The second, the way in which it is affected by external factors. Next, the degree transfer from the first language. After that, variation between learners or within one learner. After that, why the process of acquiring a second language is so often regarded as incomplete. And the last but not least, ways of improving language teaching and learning. Okay, next slide. Point of criticism. The frequent assumption of a universalist model of the kind developed for first language acquisition in Chomskyan linguistics. The second, the frequent implication that monolingualism is the normal starting point for language learners. Next. Corpus linguistic. Corpus, the plural is corpora, refer to databank of language which has actually occurred, whether written, spoken, or a mixture of the two. Then corpus linguistics is concerned with the pattern and regularities of language use which can be revealed by systematic analysis of such corpora. Collocation. There are collocations with very similar meanings which occur with great frequency. For example, it is much more usual to say provide assistance than supply assistance. Corpus linguistics provide information about attestedness. The fact that something occurs frequently in a corpus does not necessarily mean that it is processed as a ready-made unit by each individual user. Nevertheless, the prominence of collocation does strongly suggest a greater role for memory in language processing. Applications of corpus linguistics are far wider than language teaching. It has revolutionized lexicography. And the last, it can be used to establish the authorship of a document. Being applied. Second language acquisition is predominantly psychological in orientation, focused upon how language develops in the mind. Then, corpus linguistics is predominantly social, studying the language behavior of people who are already proficient in language use. Second language acquisition and corpus linguistics lay claim to having uncovered objective scientific facts about language. Second language acquisition about learning, corpus linguistics about use. Both assume that such findings should be the main factor in language-related decisions. Critical applied linguistics or CALX. In critical applied linguistics, applied linguistics aligns itself more explicitly with political action. The main principles, it should be engaged with social change and action, combat injustice and inequality, incorporate work in critical political theory into applied linguistics. It should be self-critical. Criticism of critical applied linguistics. Critical applied linguistics claims to political commitment are extremely vague. It is not clear what is new about critical applied linguistics other than the word critical. Next, postmodern applied linguistics, like second language acquisition and corpus linguistics. Critical applied linguistics start with a grand narrative both about the abstraction of linguistics and the experience of language. A set of abstract equal actual problem. In the spirit of postmodernism, this approach abandons grand narrative altogether and relocates the impetus for action within the problem itself. Those with language-related problems should seek advice from other academic disciplines or outside the academic field. Next, applied linguistics should not be an autonomous discipline. Instead, it should be a responsive discipline. The direction of influence, academic linguists, applied linguistics, practitioner. Criticism of this approach. The danger to intellectual inquiry posed by any activity which is driven by purely practical criteria. This approach may be exploited by employers, corporations, and governments, whose interest is in various self-seeking agendas of their own. Okay, last, a harder future, mediation. Applied linguistics is concerned with the most emotive and important issues which are global but manifested in personal decision-making too. Academic researchers, applied linguistics, professional expenditure. interdisciplinarity as though applied linguistics existed only at the intersection of other fields. Okay, that's all I can tell. Thank you for watching my video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.